that Sfas Emes was nifta at a relatively young age. I believe it was 52. And when the Sfas Emes was nifta at the Levaya, the Imri Emes said, his son, he said, the Tata had lange Joren. My father had long days. They looked at him, he said, long days? So he said, long days is not long years. Yeah, long years is long years. Long days means days that are full, days that are complete. He never wasted a minute. Like we read at the beginning of Chaisar, Bo Bayomim. Avram Zochim Bo Bayomim, we read last week. We talked about meaningful, fulfilling life. We talked about Kimei Hashemayim ala Oretz, the greatest brach of all, living Himmel Dikateg. And now we come to the Mitzvah of Tzitzis. The Mitzvah of Tzitzis is brought at the end of Pashas Shlach Lecha. It's brought after the Chet of the Meraglim. The Meraglim failed to see the oneness, the unity of Hashem in Eretz Yisrael. We talked very briefly, a little bit about it yesterday. Immediately after the Pasha of the Meraglim, it's fascinating that we find a Pasha called the Pasha of the Makoshish. What's the Pasha of the Makoshish? There was a Yid that went out. Chazal tell us his name was Solofchad. He went out and he was Makoshish Eitzim B'Yom HaShabbos. On Shabbos he went and he gathered Eitzim. Why he did that? Some say his intent was very noble. He really wanted to people should realize people should realize the severity of Chilul Shabbos. People should realize the punishment that it's live. They took him, they had to stone him. It was Makoshish Eitzim B'Yom HaShabbos. But it's fascinating that the Torah tells us he desecrated Shabbos in this manner, that he was Makoshish Eitzim. He gathered wood together. Why? He could have desecrated the Shabbos in many different ways. He was Makoshish Eitzim, and perhaps the meaning and significance, the manner in which he desecrated Shabbos, and its place right there after the sin of the Meraglim and before the Mitzvah of Tzitzis is very important. Because when we gather together, the four Tzitzis, we understand, we say, V'havienu l'shalom me'arba kamfos ha'aretz. Right before the Shema, we say a tefillah, and bring us together from all four corners of the world. Gather us together from the four corners of the world. Bring us together from the four corners of the world. V'havienu l'shalom me'arba kamfos ha'aretz. I thought you went out, you wanted to say Shalom Aleichem.
No, being there, he was waiting there.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Very nice to see. V'avienu l'shalom me'arba kamfos ha'aretz. Shalom Aleichem. When we say V'avienu l'shalom, we take the four tzitzis and we hold them. We put them together in our hands. V'avienu l'shalom me'arba kamfos ha'aretz. The concept of tzitzis is that we're able to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this separate, finite, Dalet Kamfos Ha'aretz. We understand the Rabbi Shalom is there. Rabbi Shalom's with us. Hashem Echad. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us an ability in this material world to see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Meitzitz min HaCharakim. We'll discuss soon why Tzitzis gives us that opportunity. But that's the minhag, that when we say V'avienu l'shalom me'arba kamfos ha'aretz, we put together all four tzitzis. And as we're saying the Shema, we're holding all four tzitzis. First, we hold it in our left hand, and when we come to the Pasha of tzitzis, we want to symbolize, signify that we are absorbing the mitzvah of tzitzis. We actually hold on to them. We hold on to them. We look at them. Uri'isem oisoi. We don't actually have to look at them. A blind person is also obligated in the mitzvah of tzitzis. He doesn't have to physically see it. Uri'isa moisa is a different concept. Uri'isa moisa really means to be able to see deeper. We'll discuss how tzitzis brings us to a sense of ichud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it ensures and guarantees and secures us. If we have a Gemara Menachos, we'll read a little bit from the Gemara Menachos. But before we get to the Gemara there, let's just see a little bit what this means. The Ichud of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that lies in Tzitzis. The Parsha tells us the story of the Meraglim. The Meraglim saw an external land, Efes ki az ha'am. They saw powerful people. They weren't able to penetrate to the core. Here comes the Parsha of the Mekoshesh Eitzim, and then we have the Parsha of the Tzitzis. The Gemara tells us that Tefillin also reminds us of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But they don't apply on Shabbos. Tzitzis applies even on Shabbos. Tzitzis is a constant. On Shabbos, we talked a little bit about the concept of tefillin being a pe'er. On Shabbos, we don't have to break through the skin. We take the physical skin of the animal and we demonstrate that beneath the animal exterior lies the Shema. It gives us the ability to connect the neshama. We're not a kakafta de lemonach tefillin. On Shabbos, everyone has a neshama yisera. And we have the ability to have that innate connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even without the tefillin. But the tzitzis is something that we need constantly. Because the allure of the outside world, the blandishments, the temptations, the pull of a world, an alma de piruda is always there, and our job is to constantly connect. The Mekoshesh Eitzim, perhaps, just a thought, why dafka Mekoshesh Eitzim? He could have been Mechal Shabbos in any which way whatsoever. Shabbos is Ichud. Shabbos we come to Hashem Echad Ushmoi Echad. And Shabbos, we naturally recognize that Hashem is one. But on Shabbos too, there's a Yetzer Hara. On Shabbos too, we're always subject to the same. We can live in the most spiritual zone on Shabbos. We can meditate. We have to know we're always subject. We live in a world, a physical world of separation. I'm sure there is something deeper to him being a Mekoshesh Eitzim. He's gathering wood. He thinks he can gather the wood together in his avodah. I'm not sure what lies there, why it was Mekoshesh Eitzim. Could have shechted an animal. Could have done anything.
Maybe an environmental message. Yeah, I only mean this half jokingly, that like a tree was always this thing, that when the angels want to use examples of human beings not being worthy for the beautiful planet that Hashem made, they use the example of cutting down trees. So it
has something to do with the Meraglim and Tzitzis, and it's right in the middle. And the Torah is telling us here, the Tzitzis is Ichud. It gives us an ability to unify HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Bria, in the physical world. The Meraglim lacked that ability to see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Meitzis min HaCharakim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is peering through the cracks in this physical and material world, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. And this Yid, this Mekoshesh Eitzim, somehow or other represents another form of distortion, an inability to connect to the Echad of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbos, we're not allowed to be ma'amah, we're not allowed to gather together. The Shabbos is the etzem of Ichud, it's the etzem of unity. There's some concept there, I'm not sure exactly what it is, I have to look in the Svarim, but there's something there that it's interesting that he's just there right before the Mitzvah of Tzitzis.
Right.
But when we gather together, the Tzitzis, and we bring it all together, we're Mekoshesh, we're putting it all together, we're recognizing that our job in this world is to see Hashem Echad Ushmoi Echad, to recognize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one means surrendering to His word, not doing it our way, doing it the way the Torah wants us to do it.
They saw giants, right? They saw great giants and they got scared, right? Somehow that fear, they lost that connection with Hashem.
Yeah.
Don't you see that in the world today? Like today's giants, maybe technology or, people are easily, a vast army comes at you. It's hard to hold on to that faith and
Hashem Echad.
Yeah.
See if there's a Gemara Menachos that will see the Gemara. The Gemara tells us a murdic story of Rabbi about Dudaya. It's very fascinating how the Gemara presents to us the story. Okay, we'll say it basically on the outside. I don't remember. It's nice to read it inside with the exact lashon of the Gemara. The Gemara Menachos. Let's read the Gemara. It's beautiful if you read the words. I think it's right behind you. Menachos.
Must be here. Yeah, I see it.
You have it there?
It's excited to come into the hands of Rabbi Reich. Rabbi, isn't it a blessing that they've come from Brazil to hear your Torah?
To learn in yeshiva.
Blessing to whom? To us.
To us.
Rabbi campus Torah. That's incredible.
It's like a huge unexpected.
It's a 9-hour flight. It's not too far.
It's not like 90-minute drive.
We are all in America.
Yeah,
South America.
Why don't you move to Monsey?
Oh,
Yeah, move in Monsey.
more
It's a
tells
good
us
place to
nicely
move.
like this.
Come move in Monsey. Honestly, you can get a good job. You live here, you learn
Yes.
here.
Ma'ase ba'adam echad. It's a different story than the Rabbi Zizit. A similar concept. Ma'ase ba'adam echad is a story with a person shayazoi b'mitzvah tzitzis. He was very particular with the mitzvah of tzitzis. Kept tzitzis on him all the time. Shama, he heard sheyesh zoyne b'krochei hayam, that there was a particular prostitute, and they tell us Daled Meis Zuhuvim B'schara, that she takes 4 Meis Zuhuvim, 400 gold coins as a reward. She is clearly the Miss World of the super Miss World. So he knew it has to be cash, exactly like you say. Shigala has to be paid in advance, otherwise she's not interested. Shigala Arba Meis, you can see how crass, how base she was, how debased she was. Shigala Arba Meis Zuhuvim, he sent her 400 Zuhuvim, 400 gold coins in advance. With Kabbalah's man.
Shiger? Like an electronic wire.
The electronic wire. He sent it to her. He shipped it out to her. 400 really reflects, as we see with Esav, 400. We see 400. Ephraim wanted 400 silver pieces. 400 is the letter Tov. It's the last. It's the maximum. She took the maximum amount that's Shaykh. That means she lived in the world of the physical, of the material. The Dalet Kanfos. We'll see soon why the Dalet Meis is significant. Because she gives money. The time arrived, and he's looking forward. Bava Yoshev al HaPesach. So he stood at the entrance, he rings on the bell. Nichnasa shivchasa. Va'amrala, oisa adam, and her maidservant came, her beautician came to the door. Va'amrala, and said to oisa adam sheshigelech dalet me'ezavim, bava yoshev ala pesach. He said, he's arrived. Okay, she said, Yikonis, let him come in. Nichnas, he came in. Hitzia loy zayin mitus sheish shel kesef. She had such a fancy bedroom. She set up for him 7 beds of silver and 1 of gold. It's all muramas to something. These people were much, much deeper than it seems from a superficial level. The 7 and the 1/8 of gold. And between there was ladders of silver in between each one. She made it as let's say on a simple level, she made it a very exciting scene. Also, v'yoshva al gab el she stood on the top one, because she had rumor. When she's bare, she's waiting for him, she's naked. Afhu ala leishav aram knegde. So he went up also to be next to her. As he was taking off his clothes to go up the ladder to be with her, bo'u dalet sitz yosef, his 4 sitzes came, all 4. The tough chulay al ponav, and they banged him on his face. It's such a fascinating Gemara. How does that happen? Nishmat, he slipped from the ladder, v'yoshev lo al gabi karka, and he sat on the ground. The sitzes just banged him with such a powerful swipe that he just, wow. They slapped him in his face. So he sits on the ground with no clothes. Afi, she sees
She sees what's happening. Nishmatus, as she goes down the ladders. V'yoshva Gabakaka, she sits next to him. Amrullah, she said to him, Gapo shel roimi she'eni menechisa. I promise you by her whatever getchka, whatever it was. I'm not leaving you till you tell me why are you not coming up? What's wrong with me? I'm perfect. I'm the most celebrated beauty that there is in the world. Why aren't you not coming up to me? And he said to her, Avoida, I can promise you, I never saw a more beautiful woman than you. There's one mitzvah that HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us, V'sitzis Shema, and its name is Tzitzis. Uksivba, and it's written in the mitzvah of Tzitzis, Ani Hashem Elokeichem Shtei Pa'amim. It says, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Asher Hitzesi Eschem Eretz Mitzrayim, that I took you out from the land of Egypt. And then it says again, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. It says it twice, Shtei Pa'amim. And it means, Ani Hu She'asid Li Para. I am the one that will ultimately demand punishment. But I'm also the one that gives reward. I'm Hashem. I can be in both sides of the coin. I can be the punisher, I can be the rewarder. Now they banged me in my face and they appeared to me like 4 witnesses. Omrele, she said to him, I'm not going to leave you till you tell me Ma shemecha, Ma shem ircha, Ma shem rabach, Ma shem midrashach, she'ata lomed ba Torah. Tell me everything. Tell me where you live, where you learn, who's the Rabbi that teaches you Torah. He wrote it down, he put it in a hand, and he left her, he ran, he went to the Beis Medrash. The Tzitzis awoke him, he picked himself up, he mustered all his courage, and he left her there, he got dressed, and he went off back to Yerushalayim to learn Torah, back to Eretz Yisrael.
No refund.
No refunds. Omda v'chilka kol nichseha. She went, she stood up. She was so nishtoimim from this act. Wow, what it means. She took all her nechasim, shlish lemalchus. She gave a third to the malchus, to the government. She had to pay taxes, I guess. Shlish la'aniyim. She gave a third. She distributed to the poor. Or shlish not labiyada, and she took a third in her hand. Chutz me'oisen matzois, except for those matzois that she left. She put them apparently in storage, or she took them with her. We'll see. Bas the Beis Midrash shel Rabbi Chia. She came to the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia was the Rabbi of this. He gave chiyus, he gave life to his talmidim, connected to the source of life. Omrullah, she said to him, Rabbi, my master, tziva alai, tell me the mitzvahs, command me. Tziva alai v'yaseni giyoris, and make me into a giyoris. I want to convert. I heard something connected, something touched me. I need to become a giyoris. Amrullah, he said to her, Biti, my daughter, sheme einecha nosata be'echad min hatalmidim. Maybe you put your eyes on someone and you want to get married to them. It's not a sincere conversion. Hitzia and ksav miyada. She took out the ksav that she had from this Talmud. V'nosan, she gave it to Chia. Amala, he said to her, Lechi zechi b'mekrech. Now she converted sincerely. She said, this person inspired me, and therefore I knew you were the Rav that inspired him, that he had the courage and the ability to leave the most beautiful woman in such a manner. That means that Tzitzis transcends all physical pleasures. There's something better than all the physical pleasures in this world. I have to find out what it is. I want to be a Gyaris. So she was sincere in her conversion. And then, when she converted, he said to her, Lechi zechi b'mekrech. Now you can marry this man in Heta. Those mattresses, those beds that she set up, she now set up in a matzav of heta. And the Gemara tells us that's the power of tzitzis. The Gemara brings this story. Now you'd think the Gemara says such a salacious story. The Gemara shouldn't share with us. The Gemara shares with us the intimate details of exactly what transpired here. And of course, we understand that the mitois, the kesef, the zov, the sulamis, she understood that this was the epitome. This is like the sea. She deified the body, the material, the physical, that the ultimate pleasure was being able to live this celebrated lifestyle. She saw there's something higher, and the Tzitzis awakened it in her. The Tzitzis awakened him. Can you imagine? Taf cholei aponav. And why was he zoicher to this? Because the Gemara says he was always particular about the mitzvah of tzitzis. Shahaya zohe b'mitzvah tzitzis. This person was zohe, he was very careful in mitzvah tzitzis. And therefore he was zeicha. You think? He was zeicha. Listen, we can't judge people. He had an overwhelming, overpowering desire to send 400 me'ez zuhavim to this woman, to send all his money, because he was completely enraptured and captured in the material world. But Tzitzis has the power to take us out mi'yetzias Mitzrayim, to take us out from the lowest level of Tumah. It's called Mitzvah Hashem. You're going to see Tzitzis and you're going to remember it's called Mitzvah Hashem. You wonder, like, how is that? You know, we look at our Tzitzis. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't have such pure thoughts. We look at tzitzis, it's very nice, very cute. It doesn't actually connect us to the heavenly throne. The Gemara tells us there in Menachos that they look at tzitzis and see mixed into the material of the wool. The wool reflects the outgrowth of the animal, the physical, the skin, the material, the abundance, the hair. And it's sheared in order to perform the mitzvah. The physical, the material tzitzis has a tcheles, a little blue thread inside of it. Today we'll talk a little bit about the chalas, and we don't have it yet. We don't know, we can't determine exactly what it is, but there was tcheles in the tzitzis. And the Gemara tells us, Ureisem oise, when you see it, means you're going to reflect upon the tcheles that's in that white wool. And you can think, what is the tcheles? It's sticking out, blue and the white. It's a nice contrast, the blue to the white. And you're going to think, tcheles dermele yam, the tcheles is connected to the sea. It reminds you of the sea. The sea will remind you of the sky, and the sky will remind you of the heavenly throne. Uri'isa moisoi, you'll see it. Oisoi, it, the tcheles. And it will remind you, it will bring you close as kol mitzvahs Hashem, to all the mitzvahs Hashem v'asisem, and then you're going to be spurred to do it. And it'll help you, you won't be led astray by all the gleaming, glittering lights of Broadway, of Hollywood. How is that? Why is that? You're going to see the blue. The blue is going to remind you of the sea. The sea is going to remind you of the sky. And the sky is going to remind you of the heavenly throne. Sounds very strange. Do you know we all have a neshama? We all have a chelik echad inside of us. This is where we really are. This is who we really are. Now, if we want to know what we really are and who we really are, what do we think about in downtime? I've said this before, I think. Bachshavte shaladam sham hu nimsa. Where the thoughts are is where we are. A person thinks in business. Somehow or other, even if he's home, he's bathing the kids, he's putting the kids to bed, somehow or other he's looking around and he sees on the side table Pampers, thinking Pampers, Huggies, thinking, should I invest in Kimberly-Clark or should I invest in Procter & Gamble? His mind is constantly racing, like, I'm thinking this, thinking that, this is diversified. He can be busy, so then all of a sudden, like, his wife comes in, she sees, like, instead of reading a bedtime story, his mind is wondering, where are you? He got from one thing to the other, and now he's busy investing, thinking of equities and hedge funds and this and that. His mind is away, way and away. The brain sees somehow or other, it will always find a connection, stepping stones to where the person really is grounded. If a person is grounded in impure thoughts, in women, subconsciously somewhere he sees one thing and it evokes a thought or an image and it leads him to this, that and the other, and all of a sudden he's in fantasy land, he's in a trefa land. A person is connected. We didn't deep down, what's the source of our connection? What's our deepest desire? Our deepest desire is to be there with Hashem. Hashem echad u'shma echad. We want to be one with Hashem. That's what we really want. If you could offer a Yid a guarantee that he's going to have a chelik in Olam Haba, a portion of the world to come, person would give away all their money, to give away everything. That's what we want, but we want to be one with Hashem forever and ever. Netzach netzachim. That's where the thoughts are. Hashem knew, he's talking to the Dor Deah, the Dor Hamidbar, when the mitzvah was given, the Yidden were connected to Hashem in such an intimate way, but Hashem knows we're going to have to go about our daily activities. And we go about our daily activities and we go into Manhattan and there's a billboards and there's noise and there's excitement and there's a rush and there's thrill and everything's hitting us. But deep down we're connected to Hashem. The sitzes are going to keep us connected. Why? Because when we look at the sitzes, we're going to think there's blue. And the blue is going to lead us to the sea. And the sea is going to lead us to the sky. And the sky is going to lead us to Hashem. Come on. Yeah. Because our hearts, our deepest desire is not with all this nonsense, not with all the garbage. That's not what we really want. What we really want is to be intimately connected to Hashem. And so our brain is going to lock on and make a natural pathway to its source. This Yid learned by Rabbi in the base medrash. You can imagine he knew what Chiyus was. He knew what Yiddishkeit was. He knew what being connected to Hashem was. What's his deepest desire? But they grabbed him such an overwhelming, overpowering urge and lust. And so off he went.
But since we don't have the blue component of the tzitzis, since we don't have the blue component of the tzitzis.
It doesn't matter. We don't have that component. It doesn't matter. It's a concept. If we contemplate and we think, we put it all together, what's the purpose of everything in this world pulls us in different directions. They're all different lusts and desires that attack us in the physical, in our alma de piruda. There's a pizur hanefesh. We understand that all these desires and lusts are all there. We have one purpose, one tachlis, to connect to the Hashem echad. Hashem is one, that our neshama should be one with Hashem. And when we're able to overcome all these desires by holding on to the sitzes, and they're all connecting, we're putting them all together, they're all connecting to the one point, they're all leading, they're all desired, they're all connecting us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Yam is dome l'Rekiah, and the Rekiah to the Kisei HaKavod, to the heavenly throne. Then we're capturing the essence of what the sitzes really is all about. The Rabbi Shalom is meitzis min hacharakim. In this material, physical, concealed world, Rabbi Shalom is peeking through the cracks. And if we really desire to see him, he is there. That's the purpose of the sitzes. The Gemara's story is an amazing story. Amazing story. If the Gemara tells us this story, the Gemara shares with us this story, the Gemara is telling us that embedded within us is the power to take the cloak. The cloak insulates. The cloak is a beged. It's a boiged. It conceals. It adds more insulating material to the neshama, the physical world. But we can take it and create from it the most beautiful. We can weave a tapestry from the material and the physical to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the deepest way. And all these desires and lusts and things that pull us away, if we are able to overcome them and channel our real desire to the Rebbeinu Shalom, see the pathway to where we're really going, leave it all to the side, connect to the Hashem Echad, then all those desires become elevated. They all become a medium through which we can connect to Hashem. This woman became a Gioris, and now everything that he'd experienced, you'd think he should be banging himself on the back. He should be thinking to himself, he comes back to the base medrash, he feels like such a clown, such a jerk. My goodness. Mitzvah of Sitzes helped him. Reason why say. It's fascinating. Wow. But a person has to understand the significance of sitzes. I guess the Talmidim of Rabbi understood what the sitzes, the power of the sitzes, the message of the sitzes. That we can bring together all the different components of this world with Makoshesh the Eitzim with an ofen of Heta. purity, goodness. Anyway, in the mitzvah of tzitzis, let's just read the mitzvah. Mitzvah of tzitzis, we have many mitzvahs. There are many mitzvahs embedded in this parsha. We have the mitzvah of Zchiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. We have the mitzvah of Lesasuru Achrei Levavchem Achrei Einechem, not to think of bad thoughts, thoughts of znus, not to think of thoughts of heresy. All of these are mitzvahs of the Eraisa. We have a mitzvah to remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem and to do them. But most importantly, we have the mitzvah of Zchiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. Does anybody know how many times in the Torah it's mentioned that I am Hashem, I took you out of the land of Egypt? How many times is it mentioned in the Torah? The Vilna Gaon reckons out there are 50 times it says in the Torah, Zchiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. We mention that on Shabbos, many mitzvahs are in order to remind us that we came out of Egypt. And he says, by remembering Yitzias Mitzrayim, remembering the mitzvah of Yitzias Mitzrayim, we can each realize 50, there are 50 madregas of Tumah in Mitzrayim, and we have the ability, the Rebbeinu Shem gives us the ability to climb out of Mitzrayim. Even if a Yid is on the 50th level of Tumah, like this Yid was, the 50th level, you can't fall lower than that. But every Yid has the ability, Zeicher Litzias Mitzrayim, that everyone has the ability to leave their own Meitzorim, to leave the Mitzori Haguf, and climb to the highest level. Let's read the words of the parasha. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe Leim, and Hashem says to Moshe, saying, Daber el Bnei Yisrael, va'amarta aleim. Daber el Bnei Yisrael, speak to the Bnei Yisrael, va'amarta aleim, and say to them. What's the daber and the va'amarta? The Mefarshim say, Rabbi Bachaya says, wherever it says daber va'amarta together, daber is give them over the mitzvah. Daber. Give them the mitzvah. Give them to understand the hanhaga, the yedaber amim, the power of the mitzvah. And then va'amarta means to elaborate upon it, to give them a deeper and broader appreciation of it. Va'amarta aleim, and you should say it over in all its details. Va'amarta aleim. Va'asu lahem tzitzis, and they should make for themselves tzitzis. Va'asu lahem tzitzis. We have a mitzvah of making tzitzis. It's interesting, the Sfarim talk about why the second yud is missing from this tzitzis. It's a tzitz. Va'asu lahem tzitzis. Why is it called tzitzis? Rashi says tzitzis has two connotations. Tzitzis means al shem psilim hatzluim ba. Tzitzis means it curls. It's like a thread. It's a twine. It goes around and around. Tzitzis. You have double expression in the tzitzis because it's something that you can see it and see it and see it. It twirls around and around. And the second shet says, Rashi says, it comes from the word meitzitz min hacharakim, that you could peek through the cracks. You could see it on a deeper level. And if we think about it, the v'amata aleim v'asu lahem tzitzis, the Torah calls it tzitzis, is because we can see deeper and deeper and deeper in the tzitzis. If we contemplate the tzitzis and we see it twirls around and around and around and around, it gives us the ability to see something very, very deep. Al kanfei vigdehem, on the corners of their clothes, l'doros, for all future generations. Ideally, we say, on any four-cornered cloak, vigdehem, we learn now it means only a four-cornered cloak, but on any four-cornered cloak, we have a mitzvah of putting tzitzis. Hakonof on the corner, psil tchelis, we learn that from hakonof. It should be al tzitzis hakonof, over the konof. The tzitzis don't belong on the actual corner. They're supposed to flow over the corner. That's why we knot them in a hole a couple of inches away from the corner. Psil tcheles, we're supposed to insert into it, psil tcheles. If you look at the word tcheles, blue, you have there the word tachlis, the ultimate purpose. Because the tzitzis leads us to the tachlis of life, to the kisei hakovod. V'hoyu lachem l'tzitzis, and they should be for you as tzitzis. V'hoyu lachem l'tzitzis. They shouldn't be for any other purpose. You'd think that tzitzis, maybe you put them on the four corners of your cloak. Maybe you can use them to tie your pants. Maybe you could use them because they're very nice frills or they're decorative. They should just be to serve that purpose. They declare HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence in the material. And you should look oisoi at it. You don't look at them, oisom them. You should look oisoi at it. It's reflecting that unity. And it will remind you as kol mitzvahs Hashem, of all the mitzvahs of Hashem, va'asisem oisom, and you will do them. They will enable you to do them. They break through the resistance and the shell of the body. The mitzvah of tzitzis will help you connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to do all the mitzvahs. V'lo sasuru, and you will not be led astray. Achrei levavchem, after your hearts, v'achrei einechem, and after your eyes. Asher atem zoydim achreim. This is a fact. Don't think that anybody is immune. Sometimes we feel so bad. We have such thoughts. The Torah says it's a reality. The Gemara says that there are one of the things which ein adam nitzel mem kol yom, which no man is free of any day, and that's hiro avera, hirhurim roim, bad thoughts. Asher atem zoinim achreim, that you're being led astray, and zoinim doesn't just mean led astray. Zan means it feeds you. It gives you life and sustenance. Mazon. It gives you a sustenance. You're drawn to it like you're drawn to food. Asher atem zoinim achreim. The mitzvah of tzitzis will help you. But it doesn't say, normally you'd think that your eyes see. It should say, your eyes see and your heart desires. Right? The einayim roeh, the eyes see, and the lev is chomet, and the heart desires. But it says, no, lo sasuru, you won't be led astray. Because the deep inner recesses of the desire, levavchem, of the mind, the inner recesses of the mind are what lead the eyes to see. We see what we want to see. We see what we want to see. Sometimes I go into the city, into Manhattan. And sometimes it's very hot. In the summer, very hard to go in. If you go in an elevated frame of mind, you're singing, you feel connected to the bunch on. You don't even see it. You don't see the garbage. You're in a horse's stall. You're in a market of animals. You know, people are dressed like that. The person's living in a higher frame. You don't see. Because the heart is singing. It's connected to Hashem. A person feels lowly, a little down. All kinds of things swirl around, all kinds of desires, distractions, and temptations. The mitzvah of tzitzis enables us to awaken and arouse the inner neshama, the tzitz, so that we can be meitzis min achrakim v'lo sasuru. It will help v'lo sasuru. You won't be led astray. Achrei levavchem, after the heart, v'achrei einechem, after the eyes. Even though it's a reality, asher atem zoilim achreim, you'll be able to arrest it. And the mitzvahs serve an essential purpose, leman tizkru, so that you should remember. And tizkru, the word tizkru comes from the word, not just to remember. The word zochar, a man, is connected to the word tizkru, to remember. Zechira, in a more spiritual concept, means to be mashpia. A man gives forth life. The nekeva is mekabelet, she's the vessel. Zachar, we always talk about HaKadosh Baruch Hu remembering us. When He's remembering us, He's connecting to us. And by being connected to us, there's a divine flow of blessing and bounty that comes with it. Leman tizkru, in order that you should be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not simply to remember. The mind is the source of connection. V'asisem es kol mitzvosai, and thereby you will be aided and assisted to do all my mitzvahs. V'yisem kedoshim lalehechem, you should be holy to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I am Hashem, This is a mitzvah deraisa. We're going to talk tomorrow mitzvah about the mitzvah deraisa of Schiras Yitzias Mitzrayim by day and by night. We'll talk about the double Ani Hashem Lekechem. Very good. Mitzvah Shem, onwards bound. The mitzvah of Sitzes.
So why do we need a physical object to remind us of something? Can't we just meditate and contemplate? Why do we need this material thing?
Why do we need the body? The body is so material. Why can't we just be created as angels, that we just sit and meditate and sit in divine bliss? HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world to be meschased with us, so that in this world of separation, in this world of period, we should connect the dots, take all the different forces of the body and connect it to the source. That is why the Shema is the cardinal, it's the constitution, it's the mantra. It expresses the Shema. We say it in the morning, we say it at night, we say it when we're born, we say it before we die, we say it at the end of Yom Kippur. The Shema reflects the very purpose and mission of each and every one of us, which is to take the physical material world, which is a world of period and separation and different desires, and connect it all to the Hashem Echad. And it's all reflected in this mitzvah of tzitzis, that we're taking the begadim, the physical garments and physical materials, and elevating it. We're taking all the different strands of the tzitzis, we're realizing it all connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all here. It'd be easy. No pain, no gain. Okay, we'll leave it here, Rabbi.
Shkoyach. Thank you.
Kartev. Onwards bound.
Nice to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to get something for you to take back. For,
I did.
Just 1 minute, I'll be right with you. That's a shame.